What's my cue?
Hey bestie, it's Katie Wasserman. I am a mom, an esthetician, the owner of Flagstaff Skincare Med Spa, and Prickly Bear Skincare, a post-hair removal line. I started Beauty Talk Confessions because honestly, I got tired of how fake the beauty industry can feel. The conversations that happen between wax strips, peels, and facials that no one ever talks about publicly, we are gonna go there. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's peel back the layers, one confession at a time. Welcome to Beauty Talk Confessions, where the secrets come out and the glow gets real. Welcome back to Beauty Talk Confessions. Today's episode is one for the waxers, the ones in the room, on the table, building trust, one appointment at a time, and learning the hard lessons along the way. I'm sitting down with Marisol, the owner of Empowered Wax, a Nevada-based waxing studio that's built on skill, confidence, and real-life experience. And when I say real life, I mean it. Marisol's story is the kind that reminds you you're not behind, you're just building. We're talking about what happens when your first interview humbles you, when you feel discouraged and step away, and what it looks like to come back stronger with thicker skin, better boundaries, and a clearer sense of what you actually want. In this conversation, we get into why working at a waxing chain can be the best training around, what newer waxers often miss when it comes to longevity, how clients' connection is built through trust and vulnerability, and how she's created a business that's rooted in empowerment, not pressure, shame, or you have to wax. If you've ever questioned yourself in the industry, felt intimidated, or wondered if you're cut out for this episode is going to hit you right where it matters. All right, let's dive into this conversation. Welcome back to Beauty Talk Confessions. I'm Katie Wasserman, and I am here today with Marisol. She is the owner of Empowered Wax, a Nevada-based waxing studio built on skills, confidence, and real-world experience. And I am so excited for this conversation today, you guys. Marisol is amazing, and I cannot wait for all the information that she is going to share with us. And thank you so much for being here today, Marisol.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm super excited to be able to be part of this adventures of yours for sure. I'm sorry, your name's pronounced Katie, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure. Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's weird with my spelling. Some people think it's like a Russian name, and I have a middle initial A, so people will put it together and be like, Katya. But it is Katie, yeah.
You're like, it's just Katie.
Yeah. Well, amazing. I would love to hear a little bit more about your story. We were just chatting before we hit record, but I would love for our audience to hear a little bit about you, how you came into the aesthetics world and opened up your own business.
Yeah, of course. Honestly, like, it's funny because I always like to say I kind of fell into it by accident. Because originally I actually, since I was like in high school, I always wanted to do hair. Like, that's where I kind of wanted to, like, my goal was, I was like always wanted to be a cosmetologist. But as I was like looking at my community college that offers the programs, I was like, looking at, I knew how I was going to pay the program out of pocket. And the cosmetology program was just like a little too expensive. So I was like, maybe I should do like something else until I get enough money saved up to do cosmetology. And I saw esthetician, and like, honestly, like that was like the first time I've ever heard that word. I was like, what the hell's an esthetician? And like, I saw it and I was like, okay, so it's still part of like the beauty industry. Like it said skincare and waxing. And the program was only like, I think $2,000 or something like that. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to do this and then get a job in whatever an esthetician does and then go back to cosmetology. You know, cosmetology was like the big goal, you know? And at that time, I think I was like 21. So I was like, I really just like, and I was like bouncing from like random, like, retail jobs. So I was like, I really just need to get into like an industry period, you know? So I started esthetician school, and honestly, like I fell in love with it so much. Like, I feel like my teacher that we had, even though like they weren't really teaching us like, really much more like state board stuff. She did I could tell that she was extremely passionate about the industry. So I feel like she really like influenced us, and all the girls that were in my class, we were like, everybody was like extremely passionate. I mean, of course we had some girls that, weren't taking, the program serious, like almost every school has, but like, our teacher was super duper strict. Like there was like no dicking around or like mean girl club or anything like that. So I think it just gave us like a lot of like, passion and motivation. And we took field trips to like the International Dermal Institute, which is like owned by Dermalogica.
Yeah, that place is amazing.
And I think because of that, I just continued falling in love with the industry, and I realized I was like, I don't want to do hair. Like I love skincare. Like I love all of it. So I basically, once I graduated, I tried to apply for what's it called, jobs right out of school to do facials because like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to focus on skincare and like teaching people how to like what's it called take care of their skin. Because honestly, for me, like I hate to be that person, but like I never really had like really bad like skincare problems. So like I never knew that was like a thing. Like I was the person in high school where my friends would be like, how come you never have breakouts? Like your skin is just so great. Again, hate to be that person, but learning about it, I realized I was like, you know what, there is a lot of people who struggle with their skincare and I want to be able to help them, you know but and I will never forget this. I had a job interview with Massage Envy, and I swear that was like the worst job interview I've ever had in my life. And I feel like if I've ever been humbled in my life, that definitely one of the times because like for some reason I feel like when you finish esthetician school, you either feel like you got this or you don't. And I definitely was like, I got this. And I think it was because like the girls, we were all a team and we motivated each other. So I was like, I know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
But again, like this interview was just like the worst interview ever. Like and the reason why I had applied was because like their description said like, like they take students with no, what's it called, experience. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So I applied and I went and first of all, the owner who was actually interviewing me that day was what's it called, an hour late to our interview.
Oh my God.
And I remember like I'm sitting there and like I'm listening to the girls at the front and like I remember there was a couple massage therapists who were kind of just like laughing and definitely being like that mean girl vibe.
Oh,
And they're like, damn, she's still waiting. If it was me, I would have left a long time ago,
oh my God.
But here I am, like, I'm like, no, I'm going to keep waiting. Like, this is, what I need to do.
Yeah.
And so I sit in the interview finally with her and like, that's fine, like talking to her was fine. But then she's like, okay, so we're gonna do a practical. Are you ready for that? And I was like, oh, but of course in my head I was like, I can't say no,
Yeah.
And I had talked to one of my friends who had done already like a practical interview like this before, and the way hers went was like she didn't know what the products were. Basically, the trainer put it out in the cuppies and said like, this is a cleanser, this is a toner. She just really wanted to know her technique,
Okay.
not the product knowledge,
Yeah.
But basically this owner threw me into a room with one of her front desk girls,
Oh my God.
gave me a basket of like a bunch of like open products, and she was like, here, figure out a routine for her. And I was like, what were they using at that time?
Like,
Murad.
okay.
I had never used that brand. My school, we learned Dermalogica. If it would have been a
Yeah.
Dermalogic thing, it would probably been different,
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, to this day, like 8 years later, I still, every single time I see Murad in the stores, like I get a little bit of anxiety because I remember of this moment,
Oh no.
And I was so stressed out. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wing this. I remember some ingredients, like I got this. And I was like freaking out, and she was like, how many hot towels do you like? And I was just like literally just graduated school like 2 weeks ago kind of
Yeah.
thing. No, a few months ago. But whole point is that like my client started having a reaction to the heat and to like some kind of product that I put on her. And like the owner just looked at me so disappointed.
Uh,
And she was like, your client's having a reaction. You need to remove this from her right now. And we're going to end this right here. So after this, just walk your client out to the front and try to sell her some products. And then I'll meet you at the end. And
oh
I was
my
just like,
gosh.
okay, like I wanted to cry at that point. Like I was so stressed out, and I was like, it was just terrible. And like I try to like go to the front, and again I'm like, how am I supposed to sell this girl who works here products that I've never used before, but I tried my best, and then at the end I sat down, and again she made me wait 30 minutes, just to tell me that like she was not going to hire me and that I needed to get more practice out there,
Oh my
you
God.
know? And I remember walking to my car and I just started crying, you know? And I was like, this is terrible. And I definitely felt really discouraged after that. Like I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to be in this industry, you know? And I
Mm.
actually like I didn't work in the industry after that for like I want to say a good like probably like a year maybe.
Oh my gosh.
And finally, one of my friends who went to school with me, she actually started working at European Wax Center right out of school, because our school kind of had a like not like a contract, but like they had a relationship with an owner of a European Wax Center nearby. So
Yeah.
he liked to hire a lot of girls from our school
Okay.
and stuff. And and she basically was like, Marisol, you need to start using your license. Like you went to school, you paid for this. Like you
Yeah.
need to. She's like, just go work at European Wax Center. She's like, just wax. And I was like, I was like, I don't know, like, but I really liked facial. She's like, you can do that maybe later in the future. And I was like, all right, you know. So, basically I, you know, had this interview with this, you know, owner and I worked for them probably for like 6 months and again, absolutely hated that job.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
because it was all about like sales. And I don't want to say that European Wax Center is a bad job because like honestly, it's, you know, I've heard before people say it's what you put into it, you know, like you need to know that when you get in there, it is a sales job. Like they are gonna push you to sell a lot of product. They are gonna push you to sell upsell services, which at that time, I think I was probably like what, 22 or whatever. I probably didn't like think that I hated that at that moment, you know, but now that I'm a business owner, like I think that it comes really handy, you know,
Yeah.
with especially if you are looking to open up your business in the future, like that will come in handy a lot because I will say as a business owner now, there is sometimes where I like struggle a little bit with like sales and selling myself. And I was like, damn, if I would have stayed at European Wax Center and taught myself how to be like a salesperson, this would have come easier for me, you know?
Totally.
So I think again, like I think it's important for you to go through these experiences before you become a business owner because it does help you be a better business owner,
Yeah.
you know? But anyway, so I worked for them for like 6 months. And again, I should have known it was kind of like a red flag with my interview because I remember, and again, this is another thing I'll never forget. The owner was interviewing me. And at that time, I had also actually gotten an offer with Amazing Lash Studio because I applied for Amazing Lash Studio. And they had given me the job and I went to like day one training, but I wanted to see like, you know, I went for my interview for European Wax Center. I wanted to see what it was all about, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the interview, the man who, you know, I remember him being, what's it called? He was like in finance, I think, financial advisor or something
Okay.
like that. And he was like, okay, well, I want to offer you the job, you know? And I said, I was like, okay, like, is there anywhere I can think about it? And he's like, why do you need to think about it? And I exactly just like that. And I was like, well, if I can be honest with you, like I actually accepted an offer for Amazing Lash Studio about a week ago. So I just want to see like which one's going to be better for me. And he was like, let me put it this way for you. Right now, if we went to like a Great Depression and things needed to be shut down and you had a couple services, let's say facials, eyelashes, and waxing, out of all of those three, which one do you think would go first?
Oh my God.
And I was like, probably facials. And he was like, and then after that, and at that time, you know, this is what before like 2017 maybe like lashes weren't like a big thing like how they are now, you
Yeah.
know. So I, you know, of course I was like, well, lashes will go first then waxing. And he's like, then why would you pick working for Amazing Lash Studio over waxing?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, you know what? I guess you're right. Like, so he basically bullied me into taking
Yeah.
this like offer. And I was like, okay. So, you know, I told the lash place that I wouldn't be working for them anymore. And I decided to work at European Wax Center. And like I said, you know, I worked for them for 6 months and like working with the clients, it wasn't bad at all, actually. But I think I just again that trying gave me a lot of anxiety. So I was like, you know what? I need to go back to what my original goal was, which is hair, you
Yeah.
know? So I was like, so maybe I was like, maybe this is like the world telling me that like I just need to go back to my original goal, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I quit European Wax Center and I went back to school and I got my cosmetology license. But when I was in cosmetology school, I realized that I really, really, really missed waxing because like I liked it, you know, and I was like, I really, I need to go back to waxing, so I was on Craigslist, I guess back in the day, you look for jobs on Craigslist, and I had seen, and this was when I was still in school, in cosmetology school, and I had seen like they were looking, LunchboxWax was looking for a like a model, like they were looking for models to have their girls train on you and
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, you know what? I think this would be like a perfect opportunity for me to be like a fly in the wall to see if I like this company, So
Totally.
I went in there and I instantly fell in love with their trainer. Like I thought their trainer was like amazing, and the girls like waxed my full body that day. Like it was really crazy.
I love
But I
it.
loved everything that the brand stood for, and they did Mancillions, and that's the first time I heard about Mancillions, and I was kind of like really intrigued. I was like, this is a really interesting job, and I was like, soft wax, this is crazy. I was like, you know what? I'm when I finish cosmetology school, I'm gonna think about this company. And it's funny because like I actually, graduated cosmetology school early because they were able to honor some of my esthetician hours since it was at the same school. So I finished early, and it was kind of like meant to be because as soon as I finished cosmetology school, they were hiring.
Oh,
So, yeah, so I applied and I got the job. And funny enough, the manager that hired me was one of the girls that actually was training and waxed me like that the first time I had walked in. I know, it was super
that's
crazy.
really
So
cool.
I definitely felt like those were like signs for me. And I'm definitely like a signs person. Like I like to
Yeah.
like look for signs. So then I worked for them, and I actually really liked working for them. But my friend, she bought a house, and that was in California, and she had bought in a house here in Nevada. And she convinced me to move here in Henderson. And what made me move even more was they had a lunchbox here in Henderson.
Okay.
So I was like, perfect. So I moved, and I started working for Lunchbox here, and we opened up a second location, and I helped manage it, but sadly, like they shut down. But when I was learning how to, when we were opening our second location, they actually had somebody from corporate come down, and she was going to train all of our girls. And, I had a relationship with her, and she told me, she was like, hey, she was like, we are looking for like 1099 contractors to help us like if we ever need another new opening salon in another state, and if we ever need somebody, like, is that something you'd be interested in? And I was like, hell yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
love training, so I ended up doing that, and I was doing that, and then like I said, our salon closed down, and that's when I kind of had like a what should I do? My son was only he was only like turning 3, and I had two options: either become a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
and just focus on my son. I thought to myself, and I was like, I've been working ever since I went back to work when he was 3 months old. Super part-time, I think I went back full-time when he was 6 months old. And like I said, I had my son during the pandemic, and what's it called? So I had two options. I was like, what should I do? Should I focus on being a mom, or should I open my own business? And at that time, like I'm the type of person that I like to give my 100% on what I do. And to me, it was like a struggle because I was like, if I open up my own business, that means I'm gonna have another baby,
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to have two babies,
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that's like, So one of my friends, she what's it called? Funny enough, we actually went to esthetician school together, and she ended up moving here too before I did. She was like, hey, I always wanted to own a business. How about you help me out, and we, because I don't have any clientele and you obviously do, so we can help each other out. Like I can obviously give you some type of mentorship and help you out in anything you need. You're not opening up your own business by yourself, and you can help me out because obviously you have clientele, and maybe those clients will want facials, because she's more into like facials, and I'm just doing waxing, and I was like, and I thought to myself, I was like, wait, would I ever want to do facials again, And I told myself, I was like, you know what? Like, probably not.
Mhm.
Only because, like, I fell in love with everything that waxing has to give. And it's not just about, like, what's it called? Ripping out hair. It's about the relationships you build with your clients. I mean, not saying that obviously as a facialist, you can't build those relationships. But for me,
Yeah.
I feel like you build deeper relationships because clients start trusting you more because you've seen them naked. You've seen
Yeah.
them in their most vulnerable time,
Yeah.
So they build a different type of trust, I feel like, So I mean, some of the stuff that I've gone through with some of my clients, like I told myself, I was like, I never thought this would happen to me, but when I opened my own business, one of my clients asked me for a ride, and I was just like, okay. So I gave them a ride, like
Oh,
I never thought that I would do that, but that I was like, okay, and I've had clients who, have cried with me and have to open up with stuff that like they probably never told anything. And, I fell in love with that. And I feel like I don't think I could ever go from this to like doing a quiet treatment,
yeah.
or more of a educating treatment, right? Like not
Yeah.
every facial is a quiet treatment, right? If you're doing a corrective service, and that's a different story, right? So I'm like, I don't know if I can go from like talking about personal, laughing, crying and all of that stuff to like being more of, education or quiet, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's different when being a facialist, but I think for me, I realized I was like, I think waxing is my passion. I think it's my call. And I really just like want to focus in that. So I took the
Yeah.
opportunity. I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. So
I love that.
sadly, my friend she's still currently my partner. We share our suite together. But she actually went through a traumatic eye surgery,
Oh, yeah.
so she actually hasn't been able to join me these past 2 years. So I
Um,
kind of been doing this business by myself. I mean, she's been helping me. She's super like honestly, I really don't think I could have done it without her because like last year, when I was doing his taxes, I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, tax season. And her husband owns the business, so like she helps a little bit with accounting stuff. So
okay.
she literally like did my taxes, like not did my taxes for me, but did my accounting, my bookkeeping for me. And I was like, are you serious right now? Like
Yeah.
what? This is amazing,
Oh,
So basically was able to take it to the accountant and be able to do my taxes. And I was freaking out because it was definitely like the last minute. But I really can't wait till she joins me as well, because then I feel like, we can definitely make grow like what we were trying to grow. I
yeah.
think our goal eventually is to go into like the suite rental industry, not that I would ever really stop, and definitely not in the time of my life where I want to stop growing my business, but it would be nice to be able to own something bigger,
Yeah.
after, working at what's it called, at the waxing chain and being a manager, I realized I was like, I never want to have employees ever in my life.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know how people with employees do it, but bless them, and especially too when I go do trainings and I talk to these franchisee owners and I talk about like what are their biggest issues, it's always like something to do with like employees. So I'm like, I don't know, I want to do that. So both her and I decided that we rather get into like hopefully getting into like the suite rental business for sure.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so Empowered Waxing turned 2 this past September. And to be honest, like I'm super excited that I did take that journey. It's been definitely um an interesting, crazy journey, but I'm super happy and I'm super blessed with everybody who is giving me support. Because I definitely think that owning a business, you have to have a huge support, system, whether it's friends, family, or even clients. Like clients have been extremely, understanding, whenever I've like been like, I am so sorry, like something came up with my son, and like, no, take care of your son. Like you, even sometimes when I'm like kind of like semi-venting with them, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm nervous. I don't know if I should take this time off. They're like, do it. Do
Yeah.
it. Your clients will understand. We will understand. And that always makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing, because you constantly hear, you're part of these like Facebook groups and you hear that, people have these like nightmare clients, and I was like, "Oh my God, thank God I've never had, I mean, I'm gonna
Yeah.
knock on wood right now, but like thank God I've never had that situation. Like everybody has been extremely understanding, and I'm super blessed and super happy that I've been able to be able to do that. So and that's why I actually decided to call my business Empowered Waxing, because like it's something that like has empowered me. And I want to continue empowering people. For example, like whenever clients talking to me, I actually had this client who she was telling me, she was like, I'm really stressed out, like I don't know what to do with my job, like, you know, I'm making good money, but I'm no longer happy. And I randomly told her, I said, I was like, this is like super duper duper random, but like, do you know how to crochet?
Oh my gosh.
And she was like, I do actually. And I was just like, she's like, why are you asking me that? And I was like, there's this lady who has made like so much money and like has made a following for herself because she crochets penises and booties.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe you should start a little side hustle doing that. You know, I'm all for side hustles. Like, I'm over here like, yeah, girl, I'll support your side hustle, you know? And she's like, that is so funny. Like, she's like, I love that. And I actually thought about showing myself how to crochet one time. So I actually bought a pattern from that lady. And I told her, I was like, I actually have a booty pattern. Like, I'll give it to you. Like, you never know. I'm like, you can make booties and I'll tell everybody about it, you know? So the next time she came in, you know, she told me she had quit her job and she's like, I actually did open my business. She's like, not crocheting. She's like, but like basically related to her industry. She's like, I think I really needed to talk to you because I feel like that was like the sign to like do it, you know?
Yeah.
And it was super cute because she actually crocheted a booty for me, which is now in my salon.
Oh, I love that.
And it was a gift from her, and I was like, I love this so much. She's like, of course, like you motivate me to do this, and I was like, yeah, that's what I do. Like I want to empower everybody to feel good. Like I'm not one of those waxers who say you need to wax.
Yeah.
Hair is gross.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want to wax, that's totally fine. Like I have clients who like only get their eyebrows done and are like, I would never wax my Brazilian. I'm like, that's fine. Like no one's
Yeah.
here to force you, you know? But if you ever do have questions about it, like I'm more than happy to answer that. So I guess like with everything that I've been through in this journey, what's it called? It was like a fitting name for me, you know. It's been an empowerment for me. I've seen a lot of growth with myself. One of my friend who, you know, opened this business with me, she was like, Marisol, you know, I've known you for, you know, 8 years, and when I first met you, you didn't know how to drive freeways. Like you were deathly afraid of driving freeways. And it's true. I did. 8 years ago, did not drive freeways like at all.
I knew that. I
You
can't
know?
believe that.
Yeah, I know. Actually, you know what the funny part is that so we both had our state board at the same day, and she lived like probably like maybe like 30 minutes freeway away from me.
Okay.
But I couldn't drive. Like there's like no way from like where I lived in Orange County. There is like no way to drive to LA, deep in LA, where because in California they only have like two state board examinings and stuff.
Yeah.
So like there was no way from like I probably would have taken like 2 or 3 hours if I drive streets there.
Oh.
So I drove an hour to her house
And had her drive.
taking streets so she could drive us to LA to take our
you're
test
so
together.
cute.
But I was like, I will not drive a freeway. Like I was like deathly afraid, you know? So before when I knew that when I had an idea that I was gonna move to Nevada, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to drive that 4 hours.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm gonna have to teach myself, you know? So I really, you know, I guess I just had to do it, you know? So, yeah, so she reminds me that all the time. She's like, you know, 8 years ago when I knew you didn't drive freeways, and look at you now, you're like, you're a mom, you know, you're building a business and like, you know, you're doing the thing, you know? And I was like, you know, I think you need to tell me that every single time I'm feeling like down about myself because I really do need that reminder for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. Having a great friend like that is the best. And especially in
The
the
best.
industry. Yeah.
It really helps you. Like I can't tell you how many times she's like talking me off the ledge. Like I can't tell you. Like there's many times where I've come like, I'm closing down. And she's like, why? I was like, I don't know. And so I think that if there's something that I can definitely tell people out there that like it's not easy owning a business.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And there's like so many things that will come with it. Tears, stress, honestly, like as much as I hate saying this, and maybe this is an experience that some people out there haven't experienced, but also cutting off relationships.
Yeah.
You know? And that's huge. And it's hard, you know, because when people aren't like supporting you, or like thinking that it like I've had a couple people like, you know, friends that I mean I wouldn't really call them friends, like maybe like acquaintances who are like, you're just there doing your like silly videos on like Instagram, you know, and it's like embarrassing, and I'm like, okay, delete,
Yeah,
block,
makes them feel
you
uncomfortable.
know?
You're like, no.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
yes, do I feel silly and stupid on those Instagram videos that I do? For sure. But I've actually had clients tell me like, you know, I was like, you know, because nowadays there's so many ways people can find waxers. And one of the
Yeah.
ways is, you know, people will literally go on Instagram and go on their search and put Brazilian waxer near me,
Yeah.
you know, which is wild to me. But okay. I've had clients who told me like, yeah, like a couple waxers popped up, but like your videos were so funny. So like I just figured I knew that I was gonna feel comfortable with you. I was like, yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
over here making myself look stupid. But you know what? I will do that. I will do that for you to feel comfortable because I want you to feel comfortable
Oh,
in
I
my
love that.
space.
Quick pause before we keep going. If you're enjoying this episode, make sure to follow Beauty Talk Confessions and show some love by leaving a quick review or rating, and share this with someone you think you would enjoy it. That's how the space grows. This episode is sponsored by Prickly Bear Wax and Skincare, launching this summer. You can join our email list at pricklybear.com, BARE, to get early updates and pre-launch discounts. All right, back to the conversation. Really been like a full circle for you, especially starting and having your interview at Wax and or Massage Envy, having a bad experience with interview and leaving, but then going into the industry and seeing someone that loves what they do and making you feel good about it. And I feel like that's so important for your story, but other people that are listening as well, who maybe have not found that, finding that place that really supports you and allows you to grow and be with them and honor that growth is really important.
Yeah, and I think it's out there for everyone. If you really want to be in this industry, um, you can't give up.
Yeah.
Like, and to be honest, like I do feel like there's so many things that are gonna test you, but it's gonna be worth it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
when I look back at it, I was like, all of these are experiences, you know.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, another of the experiences that like I won't never forget, and it was really hard for me to hear at that time, but it's super important for me that I needed to hear it. I needed to hear it. I had a salon director when I was working at Lunchbox, and you know, she told me, she was like, Marisol, like, she's like, I hope it's okay, I can tell you this, but you need to be a little bit more open. And I was like, what does that mean? She's like, you are extremely reserved, and I hate to tell you this, but it's going to be hard for you to have a successful clientele if you don't open up to you if you don't open up more. We understand being reserved, and but clients want to know you. They want to know who you are outside of this
Yeah.
establishment.
They
They
want to
don't
be
want to know, they
family.
don't just want to know um that you wax. They
Yeah.
want to know who the real Marisol is.
Yeah.
And she, you know, she put it out there. She basically told me, she was like, if you don't open up, you're not going to succeed in this industry, you
Um,
know? And it was really hard to hear that. But I went home and I thought about it and I thought about it and I told myself, I was like, you know what? It's true. Because that's how I was raised. I was raised to be extremely private about my life. And I
yeah.
have been super duper private about my life. And even to this day, I do still struggle a little bit with it.
Yeah.
But I realized, I was like, that's true. I need to stop being so private about my life, you
Yeah.
know? And it doesn't mean, you know, you need to share everything, right? Like, you know, every single fight you have with your significant other or whatever, right? But like ever since she told me that, I took it, you know, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna do it, you know?
Yeah.
The minute I started doing it, like it was crazy. Like that's when clients started like, started sticking with me. I started building my clientele more. Like clients were like, no, I only want to see Marisol, because, you know, it's true. They want to know who you are. And I even now, like I've had clients who are like, hey Marisol, like you need to post more pictures about your son, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I know, but I hate my son on social media.
Oh,
But she's like, he's so cute. I love it. And I'm like, okay.
I
You
mean,
know, so they want to know about you. They want to know who you are. So I think like not only expecting your clients to be vulnerable with you, but also you being vulnerable with them
yeah.
is definitely going to make you successful in this industry. And again, that's like, you know, again, you don't have to tell them everything, you know, but letting them into your space
Yeah.
is the only way that's going to let them like, you know, be able to open up to you for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I feel comfortable in that space.
Oh, 100% for sure. Yeah.
I love that. I have a couple more questions. I do need to run in the next 5 minutes, just so that you do know I have to pick up my kiddo from daycare. And
Oh,
since
no
I did
worries.
start a little later, we kind of jumped into it. But I wanted to ask, I just have two questions. And then if when I do edit this, if I feel like we need to add anything, I'll reach out and we may do like a follow-up if that's okay with you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So much information. And honestly, before we hit record, like
Yeah,
you're
you definitely,
driving
yeah, for
so
sure. You
well.
definitely need to cut me off because I can definitely talk for days.
You're amazing. Well, one thing that I would love to know as a trainer, what do you see that newer waxers are often misunderstanding in this career, especially when they come to longevity and sustainability and maybe stepping into working at a franchise or opening up a space on their own?
I think one of the things I've noticed a lot is that they think it's easy.
Yeah.
They're like, I could just apply wax and remove it. And yeah, I guess that's true. Yes, you can. But there's so many things that you need to know too. Is one, what's it called? I definitely think that skin analysis is definitely extremely important. And I feel like sometimes they think that they don't need to know that because they're like, I'm not doing facials, but that I don't know if you're, active in the Facebook groups, but that's one of the things that we see so much in these Facebook groups, on these
Yeah.
waxing Facebook groups, is like, why did this happen to my client? Why is my client getting ingrowns? What does this look like? Is this an allergic reaction? These are things that you should know before taking clients, I feel like, or not, I'm not saying you need to be an expert on it, of course, but you should have an idea about it,
Yeah.
an idea of what are ingredients and even ingredient knowledge,
Yeah.
because some ingredients are definitely, can be a little irritating to other people. Or even like when people ask, does this look like skin lifting?
Yeah.
Like how, like, I'm sorry, but these are the things that you should know before you start, taking clients. And this is why I feel like it actually, to me, I think it's important for everybody to work in a chain. Like
I think so
I tell
too.
everybody, go work at a chain before you open your business. I
Yeah.
promise you that would be the best thing you did for your business. Like, I know you don't think so, but it really is, because there's the times where you can make mistakes and your name is not branded on it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Those are the times where you're gonna, somebody else is doing marketing for you, so you'll be getting way more clients, way more practice. You'll be seeing way more situations. Like, I've seen so many situations, and just like, in my years of experience, that I feel like it's always a different situation.
Yeah. I agree. Well, and then
That I do
also
think
working with other people, you learn from their mistakes and their,
exactly.
yeah, also their victories. And so
Yeah.
that's like been the best experience as well when someone comes out and they're like, that was the best Brazilian I've ever done. And you want to know why. And they tell you that. And then you're going to go and do it for your client as well. Or that was the worst. And you're like, I will never do that to my
I'll
client.
never do that.
Yeah.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Even like, for example, like, so when I worked at Lunchbox, like, we didn't have a receptionist.
Yeah.
So we were receptionists. And I've definitely seen where people are, have worked at places like that, and they're like, I hate that we have to be receptionists.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to own your business, that is going to help you later on. So again, I
Yeah.
think that anything that you do before you open your business, I think that everybody should take it in a positive way, because it's going to learn and only make you a stronger business owner, because you can deal with different, client situations for sure.
Definitely.
Another thing is, I do feel like that I see a lot, and I feel like I definitely was there at one point, was that they feel like franchisee owners owe them a lot. Like,
Yeah.
they're my clients. Like,
Yeah.
I should be able to take them everywhere. And I think that that's like the biggest conversation as well. And I feel like now, as a business owner, I understand the franchisee side as well, Um
I love
or
that.
the owner side as well, for
Yeah.
sure, And I think that, like, of course, like, there is toxic, work industries, there is toxic owners, there is terrible owners, but I think that we should always, if you're working for somebody else, like, be open-minded,
I agree.
understand that, like, maybe it isn't for you forever, I mean, the previous franchisee owner that I worked for, we helped her business so much. I bended myself backwards so much, only for, at the end of the day, for her to tell me, like, you don't want to work at a chain like this for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. You working at a chain like this, after so many years of experience, it's like you working at, like, Domino's
Oh
or
my gosh.
something. Yeah, it was terrible. So
Yeah.
again, I do, one of the things I do want to, advise for people is, get your experience, be open-minded, learn what you can, make the mistakes before you open your own business. Of course, even when you do open your own business, you're still going to make mistakes,
Yeah.
but at least you learn some of them for sure. But also, like, don't take anything personal.
Yeah.
Don't, these owners, at the end of the day, even though you do put, like, your sweat and your tears into their business, just take it as more of experience. You learned it, it taught you something, and then move on, you
Totally.
know?
I love
So
that.
many times I've heard, well, they're a terrible owner, so I should take all their, their clients,
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, you know what you were signing up for when you were working for someone
Yeah.
else, So I think that, and I might get some hate for that, but I do feel like we should, be open-minded and take everything as a learning lesson and don't take it personal because at the end of the day, they're trying to make money as well. You know what I
Totally.
mean? And when
Yeah.
you become a business owner, you'll realize too, like, and when you want to, hire your own employee, you'll be the same way too.
Yeah.
You'll be heartbroken if your employee takes your hard work. And once you put money into marketing and trying to gain clients, you know how hard it is,
Totally.
So
Well, thank you for
again,
that.
I think that people who are getting out of school definitely go work for somebody else, get that experience, learn, take everything at a grain of salt, be passionate, don't lose your passion. Realize that like there might be toxic situations out there, but
Yeah.
just don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
I love that. Well, this was amazing. I have one last question that I always end on. I would love to know, is there one ritual or routine that you can't live without?
Um, Honestly, like you mean like in the treatment room
Just in
or
general, like your day to day. So something personal. I've had some people that they have to meditate in the morning, or I have some other people that like their routine is they can't live without washing their face once a day, that kind of fun stuff.
honestly, I feel for me, it would be what's it called? Waking up and just telling myself I got this.
I love that.
I know that sounds super like silly, but it's funny because I used to say I was like my motto for the rest of my life is fuck it, thug life.
Oh,
And I to this day I feel like I can't. I always say that fuck it, thug life, like in my head,
yeah.
And I know it sounds silly and juvenile maybe, but like it's one of those things that have kept me going.
I love that.
Is
It's
that everything's gonna
motivation.
get figured out. But no, honestly, like I think that for me, like I'm super flexible about a lot of things. I feel like I don't know. Personally, I feel like being a business owner, you kind of just have to like, go with the flow
Yeah.
and being a mom too,
Yes,
like
totally.
there's not one thing that I can do every single day because you'll wake up and it won't be that way, but
I
I will
agree.
say is, being proud of yourself, like being proud of myself for sure. And like being open-minded and just like telling me like, I got this, like, real quick. Sorry. This kind of like a little sidebar, but I recently saw like a video where I think it was like Snoop Dogg was talking about how like there's a kindergartner teacher out there that plays one of his like he makes songs for like kids or
Yes,
something. I forget what it's
his
called.
kindergarten rap songs are amazing.
Yes,
They're
yeah,
so good. They're
and
about
there's
like
one that's
treating each
like
other well, and oh, they're so good.
there's one that I think it's all about like loving yourself and being
Yes.
super motivated. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I was like, should I be playing this for my 5-year-old every
Oh my
morning?
God. Yeah.
Like so really just that, just being proud of yourself and like realizing that like no matter what happens today, it's gonna be good,
Thank you.
but no other ritual. I would like to say that it's washing my face every single day, but there's nights that I mean, if I wear makeup, I do wash my face, but if I don't, there's definitely nights that I'm going. I know it's terrible, but
No, the
yeah.
self-affirmation, that's beautiful. I love that. Well, this was
Yeah.
great. I would love to know, and our followers would love to know if they're wanting to follow you, reach out to you, get to know you a little bit more, where can they find you?
Honestly, the best is Instagram. I haven't braved enough to do TikTok yet, but
Yeah.
Instagram at empowered__waxing is definitely the best way to find me for sure.
Perfect. And we'll have that all in our show notes below. Well, thank you
Awesome.
so much. This was so great.
Thank you so much, Katie. I appreciate you having on me, and I hope I can help someone out. And if they ever have any questions, I'm always open to answer any questions.
Amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for being a part of this space and for listening to today's episode of Beauty Talk Confessions. I wanted to take a moment and recognize our amazing sponsors, Prickly Bear, a desert-curated post-hair removal skincare line with pre- and post-care products created to support healthy skin beyond the treatment room, launching this summer. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure to follow the show and share it with someone in the beauty industry. Staying connected is how we grow, learn, and support each other. You can also follow us on Instagram at Beauty Talk Confessions and Prickly Bear for updates, behind the scenes, and more conversations like this. And if you have a moment, leaving a review helps this podcast reach more people who need this conversation too, and it would mean the world to me. This is Beauty Talk Confessions, and I'll see you next week.